Hello and welcome to another Studio Takes. I'm Dane Scott with Pocket Frog.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard to you. Good to have you with me. Today I'm going to talk about something I did during the month of July. It was as much an experiment as anything, but it turned out mighty good. I'll tell you how I got 30,000 hits, 30,000 impressions in my first month on a new gig on Fiverr. Up next.
Studio Takes. Real help for the aspiring voiceover artist and Fiverr entrepreneur.
Again, it's Dane Scott, Golden Tones on Fiverr, and mostly I've been doing just voiceovers on Fiverr, while I have been also offering my Gig Doctor service elsewhere on the web through Facebook and so on, where I go to people's gigs. I help them find what things they can do to improve them, to optimize them, to make them sell better, help them get found better, generally just to make them more money. And we've been having a lot of fun with that for over a year now, and helped quite a few people, probably 100 or more, I think. But, just lately I was thinking to myself, is there a way that maybe I can expand my horizons beyond what has primarily been just the voiceover folks so far? And, start to reach out to people that offer other kinds of services. And I thought, well, really the best way to do that is to break out of just the Facebook groups that I'm on and actually offer my gig right over on Fiverr. Then I got into the questions of how much to charge and how to launch and so forth. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And actually, if you look, if you're watching the YouTube video, I have a nice big version of the website here, which shows that in the month of July 2021, I got 30,000 impressions on my brand new Optimize Your Fiverr Gig Doctor gig that I had set up on Fiverr. So we're going to be talking about that. Just want to invite you to stay tuned until the end of this today, because I'm going to be telling you how I'm going to extend this little offer that I had in July, not on the Facebook page anymore, not anywhere else, but just in the YouTube video and in the podcast. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do it any more beyond just today. This may be the last time we do this. But what I'm going to do is let you still get in on the reduced price that I have on Fiverr for the Gig Doctor, which I'll be explaining why I did. And then also get a free $49.95 head slapper video that has hints in it that have been of great help to me in succeeding on Fiverr. So stay tuned till the end for that. Okay, now let's get to it. As I said, I really wanted to find some way to expand my Gig Doctor service beyond just the people that might happen to go to thegigdoctor.com or might happen to see a post that I had put in the Fiverr and Upwork Voiceover Lounge or the Fiverr VO Enclave or the Fiverr Entrepreneurs or some of my other groups. Or now Instagram, which I've started posting to too, which I'm still trying to figure out. This is not the kind of thing that comes naturally to me, so I have to kind of feel my way through that a little bit. But we're starting. We're kind of getting started on there. But how do we just kind of expand this out beyond the primarily voiceover realm that I'd been approaching so far? And I thought the best way might be just to, set something up right on Fiverr for it. And so that people that are offering artwork or poetry or, photography or whatever it is that they do, the SEO or, web design, whatever the case may be, that I have a kind of a universal ability to reach lots of people who have gigs on Fiverr and help them, as opposed to just one little small area of Fiverr. So, but first, initially, what I had to do really was to try and stand out from the crowd, because there are other people that offer services maybe kind of like this, maybe not identical, but with some of the same aspects to it on Fiverr already. And some of them are really quite inexpensive, I would say cheap. And I really kind of wonder what people are actually getting for some of those prices. At any rate, so here I came into Fiverr expecting to try and get something pretty close to what I was charging outside of Fiverr for this service, because after all, I spend at least an hour with these people. I really kind of pour my heart and soul into these, and I want to make sure that I'm compensated adequately for the time I'm putting in and for the voice I'm taking out of myself. You know that talking for an hour straight, you know what that does to your voice. If you have two or three of those in a row, like I have recently had, wow, imagine talking for 3 hours pretty much straight on with just a few stops to sip a cup of coffee, and then afterwards trying to do your voiceovers. So I can't justify giving the service away because it's really taking a lot out of my voice and taking time out of my day and so forth. So I had to try and get at least close to what I was getting for the gig doctor service online. That as kind of a preamble to say, okay, somehow I want to try and get this onto Fiverr, but I don't want to take a bath in the process, I decided what I would do is to offer it just a little below what I offer it for on my website, at least for now, with the idea that, okay, for anybody from the outside that I'm already in contact with, that I can give them the benefit of a little bit of a reduction if they want to order during this introductory month thing. Then in addition to that, I also decided to put this bonus thing on there, the $49.95 head slapper. So they'd get essentially $60 worth of value in addition or extra value out of their $90 purchase for the gig doctor session. And I have learned over the years that Fiverr gives you some props when you do a social share. So what I did was I created my gig, and I'll talk about the gig creation a little bit too later on. But I created the gig, and then I went to the share part. If you go to the gig itself and you go over here to that little drop down, and then you can choose share, and then there's a place where you can copy the link. So that's what I did. And then I actually assigned that to a hotkey because I expected that during the course of the month I'd probably be sharing that in chats in all different ways. So I assigned it to a hotkey. So all I have to do is type FGD link and hit the space bar. And on the Mac, that just brings up the whole text of the URL so I can quickly paste it in. I'll even demonstrate that because it's kind of cool. So FGD link, space bar, and yeah, it drops in the link. So I think that's kind of a nice feature. And I use that a lot for all kinds of responses to things and times when I want to make things happen quickly, but I'm getting a little off the beaten path here. So I created the gig. I created what they call the social link. Don't just copy the URL. Copy this social link if you're going to share it to Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and wherever you're going, because the social link is the one that will give you some extra credits on Fiverr. Fiverr it has set their computers to recognize when these outside links are being used and to actually give you a little bit more of a push in the search results. Your creds go up with them a little bit when you do that. In this case, I have a feeling that quite a few people at the Facebook groups must have clicked on it at least to find out what was going on, to check out the gig, to just see what Dane was up to now, what's his latest crazy thing. And so immediately upon my having put the gig together and done the things that I know to do to try and optimize it to make it as findable as possible, it wasn't more than a few days. It's the first day or two you're looking at it and you're kind of like, oh boy, I wonder if anything's really going to happen here. And then, okay, 300 impressions. Okay, that's not too bad for a few days here. And then looked again, 1.2K. And it kept ratcheting up through the whole month to the point where I ended up the month of July with over 30,000 impressions, 847 clicks, and guess what? 38 orders. 38 orders in the first month. So I was just thrilled. And I'm not sharing this to brag or to position myself in any particular way. I'm just thrilled. I'm just telling you because, you guys are my buddies, and I just want you to know that it was fun for me to see this happen. And I can tell you that it was, I think, a combination of things that made it happen. One was the social sharing. I have no doubt that was an element of it. Another was the creation of a demo video that I put on the page. So rather than it just being, let me go over here and hit preview. And for those who are listening to the podcast, use your imaginations, or you can follow the link that I'll have in the notes from the podcast. But here is the demo video that went along with it. I put this together to kind of make the point of the benefit of having a gig doctor session and how you need to rise above the competition. And it also had some testimonials from some wonderful folks in our groups that I am so grateful to. So let's give this a quick watch. The idea is, I think that if you were to go to the gig optimization pages of most of the people that are offering that kind of thing, nobody's got a video to speak of. So that gave me the ability to stand out in that way. So I'm just leveraging what things I have. I know how to throw together a rough video. I know how to do narration. I know how to, do a gig image. And so all of the things that I knew how to do, I pulled together into this thing. Okay. So now let's listen to the demo.
There are about 3.4 million people who actively buy services on Fiverr. That's good news for sellers. That's about as many people as you'll find in giant Los Angeles, California. There are also about 2.3 million people offering their services on Fiverr. That's as many people as live in the metropolis of Houston, Texas. And that's a lot of competition. I'm Dane Scott, and I know what it feels like to start out on Fiverr and feel a little overwhelmed by all that. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars on the platform. I know how to break through the clutter, get found, and make sales. I can show you how to do the same thing. And here are a few real comments from people I've helped.
Dane knows what he's doing. That's why he's the gig doctor.
Dane is a super good guy. Trust me, 1 hour session with him, and my gig made it to the first page.
Thank you so much, Dane, for helping me set up my description, my pricing, and best of all, my confidence in making my gig the best it can be.
In the 4 days since I worked with the gig doctor, my impressions have gone from single digits to triple digits. He's just that smart.
Hey, you're next. Click through now. Let's see if we can fire up your gig and get you onto the first page.
Work with him, and he is going to work with you.
Dane, the gig doctor, can help you do this.
Highly recommend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dane.
Thanks, Dane.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate all of them who kind of chimed in on that. All I did was just threw something out in the group and said, hey, would anybody be willing, to give me a little testimonial video? And boy, a lot of people came forward, and I was so grateful. I'll tell you one other thing that I've been extremely grateful about. Since I launched this thing, I've gotten reviews on every single one of these that I've done so far, and all of them have been positive. Some of them have been kind of glowing reviews. All of that helps, so if we can do the very best job we can on whatever we're offering on Fiverr, I think that also is going to make a huge, huge difference in how well we're going to show up in search, because I think Fiverr's search engine has some kind of organic components to it. It's feeling around, it's getting a sense of how you're performing in all areas, and then it quantifies all of that and puts it into the mix. I can't imagine how complex that program is. And I've got a blog that's coming out where I compare Fiverr to an animated pet, like a Furby. And matter of fact, that actually probably by the time you see this video will have come out. And I'm going to ask for people in the blog to give me some ideas about what they think we should name Fiverr as kind of a pet, a companion pet, because I want people to get used to the idea of thinking of Fiverr as something friendly and fun, and something that's fun to work on, to feed, to keep, in developing. So basically that's what I've been doing this week. I've been kind of feeding and caring for and nurturing my pet. And in this case, it was the gig doctor gig. So everything I could think of all the month long. Where else can I share this? How can I change the key wording? What can I do with the title? How can I optimize the description, the way the words are formed? How can I make the most compelling arguments honestly for what people can expect to get out of this? And the end result has been something very gratifying, rewarding, and fun. And it also has helped to kind of reinforce the fact, in my own confidence, in the fact that the things that I do to optimize my gig seem to work. I hear back from people all the time. I know from my own experience with my own gigs how it's working out, and now with the gig doctor when I feel especially encouraged about that. So the idea of being able to not only optimize the gig itself, but also to be able to really get it out there, and if you can, share it around on social media, can make a big difference.
That's a great idea.
It can really help. All right, before we quit today, I did promise you that I was going to give you a little special thing here. So this is it. The Gig Doctor special with the $49.95 head slapper is over. Online, officially, it is over. But I'm going to hold it over in just one place, and that's right here today. If you will follow the link, it's a special link. It's the same one that I just typed, that automatically completed when I was typing before. If you follow that link, which will be in the comments of the YouTube video and the podcast, and you go over to the site, you can still order it for the $90 price, and you can still get the $49.95 head slapper. Just mention it to me when you place the order, okay? But get on that right away, because we're not going to be continuing that into the future here. This was just a kind of a one and done thing in the YouTube video. So what else do we need to talk about here?
Don't forget about the podcast.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Pocket Frog. So the other thing is that if you are only watching the YouTube video and you have not signed up for the podcast, there is a link in the right in the comments there, and I would love if you would get over there and grab the podcast. That's really handy, because then you can listen to these things while you're out for your walk or your jog or going for a drive or wherever you are out in the boat. You can binge on the podcast. And so I think that's about it for today. Be sure to comment if you have some thoughts on what you saw today. And be sure to like and subscribe, because that is a good way to be able to follow the action here on YouTube. All right, until next time, I'm Dane Scott, the Gig Doctor, the coach, and your host for Studio Takes, along with Pocket Frog. Talk to you next time.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.